have two folks who are from Emory University, and they are with the Emory Graduate Union Organizing Committee. You all know that here on WRFG, anything that's got the word union in it, we all go, wow. So we're very happy to have both Jonathan Basile, and I know I'm going to mess up your name anyway, so why don't you say it?
Anais. Stenson.
Anais Stedman.
Stenson.
Stetson.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I have to tell you that if you listen to every program forever, I always mess up somebody's name. It's because I'm not a professional. But I am an interested person, and we all are here to hear about what this is all about. So we did a report on the labor forum when the NLRB ruled in the favor of graduate students both in public and private institutions that you actually were workers and had a right to form a union. So would either one of you like to comment on first that, how it changed your situation, and then maybe one of you could talk about what it's like to be a graduate student at a university like Emory and what you have to do?
Sure. Well, I'll take the first one. So that was when we started organizing, was when that decision came down, which was last August. And the growth has been really fast. A lot of students, I think, see the benefit in this. They've understood that the university has really been making a profit and, in a lot of senses, taking advantage of our labor for a long time, and we've had very little voice in the conditions of our employment there, the work that we do as teachers and as researchers at the university. And so a lot of people at Emory, the graduate students, there are about 1,500 of us doing teaching and research work at the university right now, who really see the benefit of this and the need for us to have a voice in the workplace.
All right, so could you talk a little bit about, as somebody who may say, graduate student, why should you get any money? You're supposed to pay the university to teach you. So what is it that you do that makes you a worker?
As graduate students, we're in a sort of unique role. I think it's fair to say we are students, of course, but we are also contributing a great deal to the university, both and sometimes alternately as educators ourselves, so teaching undergraduate courses or serving as teaching assistants for those courses. And then also in certain fields, particularly in the sciences, as research assistants and researchers who play really critical roles in collecting and analyzing data and writing up publications for grants that are funded by institutes like the National Institutes of Health or the National Science Foundation.
You want to add really on more?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one more thing, which is that there might have been, once upon a time, it might have been the case that the universities in the country could claim that they were preparing us for a profession, that, this was a form of training, and even the teaching or the research we were doing might have been training for that also. But really what's been happening over the last few decades is that work that used to be done by professors at universities has been more and more replaced by adjuncts who have incredibly low pay and no job security, and by graduate students who are in a similar position. And so instead of us being prepared to go have a tenure track faculty position that's high paying and a stable job, those jobs are disappearing because that work is being replaced by ours, because that work is right now very low paid. And that's why we need a union to be able to improve the labor conditions for educators in this country in general.
I'm going to make a comment, and I want you to comment on it. So it seems to me that what we see in the United States with institutions of what's called higher learning is that they are developing a business model. And so it is about how to keep costs down and, I don't know, spend more money on big buildings and fancy things and sports and, I don't know, stuff like that, as opposed to the idea of trying to reduce class size and have students who are paying tuition really get the full experience of good teaching and intimate teaching in a certain sense, closer to a professor rather than being in a hall with 500 other students. So it seems to me that just like corporations now hire temp workers who can work for years and never get a full-time job and never have any benefits and always be low paid, that universities essentially are doing somewhat the same thing, and they have an unending supply of low-wage workers to have as teachers and teaching assistants and research assistants. So I said that, now what would you say?
I would just say, in addition, that there's been a large growth in the ratio of pay that administrators receive relative to, for instance, faculty members or other workers at the university. And I don't have specific figures that I can share with you all, but I know that trend has been well documented, and that's certainly a phenomenon that's also concerning.
So Christopher, Georgia State student,
Yeah, no,
weigh in.
I was just gonna say, at least at our university, Georgia State University, our university president makes $1 million, and so we talk about like the huge gap between that. And I know that our graduate students are being used as well as like adjunct teachers and as well. So I know you don't have statistics, but I at least have it for my university. A huge gap, if you will.
Right.
Could one of you talk about, so you're a graduate student in, I don't know, whatever department it is. How is it that you get assigned a teaching? I mean, how is it they tell you go teach this class or teach these 5 classes, or how does that work?
Well, it depends on the department. So the different departments have different teaching obligations, and it ranges from departments where not much teaching is done, and of course there are departments where it's all research and no teaching. And some of those research labs will, usually with research programs, folks will choose an advisor, and that advisor will have their own rules as far as how the lab is set up. So there'll be advisors who require that their students are there 60 hours a week, often working on projects that are specific to grants that advisor has gotten, so it's not really moving that student towards their goals for graduation, and it's obviously making a huge amount of money for the university, an enormous source of income for them are those grants. And then with teaching, it's something that we negotiate with our departments, but there are departments that take more advantage of us than others. And one of the things that we really need right now is a stable contract. The reason that the directors of our graduate studies can make those arrangements with completely arbitrarily and without any input from us is that we have no contract saying that we have to be paid for our teaching work and that we can't be forced to work beyond certain amounts.
Well, could you go a little further into what the benefits of a union would be for the 1,500 graduate students at Emory University?
Yeah, just to follow up on some of what Jonathan was just saying, right now there's just a huge range of what is expected of graduate student workers and the benefits that we can accrue from that work that we do. So some people are in really precarious situations, some people are in good situations. So I just do want to mention there is a lot of variability, but I think that that variability is in part why a union is so important. And one of the most important things that I think the graduate students stand to gain is more consistency in terms of things like grievance procedures, compensation, benefits, healthcare, and stable expectation. So knowing that if I come in year 1 of a program that's probably going to take 5 or 6 years for me to complete successfully, that I can then expect some continuity in the benefits that I'll receive and in the expectations.
So we got just a few minutes left, so if there's somebody out there who may be a graduate student at Emory or any other place, or just somebody who's interested in this, how would they reach out to you all?
Sure, we can be contacted at emorygoc@gmail.com. That's Graduate Organizing Committee, Emory GOC. And we also have a Facebook page, Emory Grad Students Unite, and a website, emorygradunion.org. And I wanted to just add quickly to the last question that over the last few years, again, because we have no contract and no stability and really no job security, over the last 5 years, our benefits have been consistently cut. So the percentage of our health insurance that we're paying ourselves has gone up. We've lost our dental and vision coverage and dependent care coverage. And that last issue is a really important one. We also have no child care subsidies of any kind. And that last issue is a really important one for having a diverse student body. There's a real lack of diversity among the grad students at Emory, and one of the biggest causes for that is that the school right now is really making no effort to support students who have families.
Well, thank you both for being here.
Thank
Really,
you.
really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, they were
You're welcome. I'm just trying to think, we got, what, 30 seconds left? Let me think,
Did
is
you
there a 30?
mention about the experiences you had with that?
Sure. So I'm in my 5th year of the program at Emory, and I'll be finishing up very soon. But one of the issues that was most important to me in getting involved with the union was seeing that over the last couple of years with these cuts to the benefits, a number of really talented graduate students have actually had to leave Emory and leave the program. And so I think that, you know, in academia and theory, we want the best and most talented people to be able to pursue their degrees. And so seeing that, you know, a sudden decision by the university and a sudden email saying, you know, these benefits, for instance, for dependent care have been cut, can end somebody's career prospects is, I think, pretty tragic and just seems quite unnecessary given the resources that an institution like Emory has.
Yeah, it's got a humongous endowment,
$7 billion last I checked.
just humongous. And I think, you know, we've had on this program, I'm gonna be real quick, we've had the cafeteria workers from Emory on, and we've had the bus drivers from Emory on, all of who were also trying to get a union contract. And so we here at the Labor Forum wish you the best of success, and we're gonna have you back when you win.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I look
you.
forward to it.
Take care. So we have another message from WRFG, and then we're gonna bring up our 2 guests from the building trades, which I have to personally tell everybody, I'm excited about having them here because I'm always in awe of people who are able to make things. All right, so stay tuned.